Hey, we're going to be looking at two new features which have been added to HPCBOX. The first one is the possibility to have flow control options within your HPC workflows. And the second one is the custom application builder tool, which will let you create your own extensions to HPCBOX and introduce your own custom applications within the HPCBOX platform and make them available for use in your HPC workflows alongside all the out-of-the-box applications which HPCBOX provides by default. So let me connect to my test cluster here. This cluster is executing in a Microsoft Azure data center in East US. I'm going to start the HPCBOX cluster app. So in the HPCBOX cluster app, if you go to the workflow editor section, you can see that now there is a new flow control option here, section here, which provides three different connectors: split, join, and decision. Let's see how we might use them. So let's say you're building a workflow where you want to execute certain steps of the workflow in parallel, and then have the workflow synchronize after those paths in the workflow are executed, and then you want to continue further only if the previous workflow steps were successful. Then what we would do is we could take drag and drop an application. In this case, let's say you want to execute answer CFX first, and then let's say you want to split your workflow and have multiple paths in the workflow, possibly because you want to use the output generated by this step in the next steps which are available, which are going to be placed in your workflow. So we'll add a split here, and then I could add, for example, I want to execute answers CFX again using some other input file, and I want to execute answers fluent. Then I could drag and drop these two. Then I could make connections here and create two parallel paths. So what happens here is first answer CFX gets executed, and then the workflow splits, and then we can have answer CFX fluent, answer CFX and fluent executed. And you could add additional applications here as well. And these applications don't necessarily have to be CAE applications. They could even be a combination of CAE and AI ML workloads which you want to integrate together within your workflow. Once these two paths are executed, I could use the join connector here. So I can synchronize my workflow to make sure that it stops at this point until all the previous steps and the previous paths are executed correctly. Now let's say that after this I want to execute a third application. Maybe I want to do something with Answers Workbench. So I drag and drop that in here. And then I could, for example, use the decision connector, which would help me take a decision based on whether the Answers Workbench step executed successfully or if it failed. For example, if it executed successfully, maybe I want to execute Answers CFD post and generate some results out of all the previous steps. And if it failed, maybe I want to send an email to the user and inform the user that their workflow has failed. So using these new flow control options, it makes it very easy for you to create a complex chain of applications and create an HPC workflow. Now, each of these applications can themselves be running in parallel on the HPC cluster nodes. So using the underlying job scheduling system, which is part of the HPCBOX platform. And the second feature I wanted to show you was the app builder tool. So if you look at the workflow editor here in HPCBOX, you see that there's a lot of ready-to-use application integrations which are already available within HPCBOX. But sometimes you could be having custom in-house applications, or you might have some complex scripts which makes call outs to AI agents or maybe LLMs or some other external systems. And if you want to include them inside your HPC workflows, previously there was no way to do it without having to use a generic script box. But now you have the possibility to create your own application inside HPCBOX and extend HPCBOX. For example, I could do something like create a new application called my in-house app. Could give it a category, description, and I could provide the script which needs to be connected to this particular application in HPCBOX. So this script could either be a script which has an existing job scheduler integration which you have built in-house, or it could be just a script which makes a call out to some other external system or some other external application. You can also add different options to the application integration. For example, you could use the built-in PPN connector to have the user select how many CPU cores they want to use for this particular run, or you could use any of the other connectors like the working directory, for example. And there's also like select options and text options and lots of other options which can be used. So once you have created this particular definition, if you go back to the HPCBOX editor, you'll see that there is a new application now available inside your custom apps section. So you could then drag and drop this application, and then you see all the options which you had used when configuring the application available here for the user, and the users can use them just like any other application inside HPCBOX. So they could just drag and drop and then connect them to the existing workflows. Thank you.